The reality television hit series The Curse of Oak Island has been renewed continuously every year by History Channel since it premiered in 2014. The appeal of hidden treasure adventures never ceases to captivate its viewers' imagination. Many love to talk about it, but only a few would have dared to search for it, as the Lagina brothers have. On the other hand, cynics believe that there's no buried treasure on the island, and everything was just a real estate marketing hype. However, the interest in it has increased over the years, as the treasure was associated with a curse, which was a perfect combination for those who get excited with treasure hunts and the history behind them. No treasure has been found yet, but there have been too many clues, possible traps, and coincidences, although difficult to overlook. In most of the literature about the Oak Island treasure, it's believed to have been a mystery that was started over 200 years ago. There has been much speculation about its origins, but no one could claim that they were facts, or purely the result of someone's overactive imagination. Legends and stories do get watered down or exaggerated over the years. Here are some of the most talked about theories of the origins of the Oak Island treasure. William Shakespeare, the famous English playwright, was said to be Francis Bacon in real life, as claimed by devoted Baconians. For some reason, his followers introduced the Shakespearean authorship hypothesis in the mid-19th century, asserting that it was Francis who wrote most of Shakespeare's plays. The original manuscripts were never found, and the Baconians believed that they were buried in an underground vault somewhere in Oak Island, along with his valuables. Some coincidences made them assume that the Baconian claim was true, such as the traces of mercury found during the early treasure hunt expeditions on the island, as Francis mostly used mercury in preserving documents. It's also documented that Francis's understudy, Thomas Bushnell, was knowledgeable in recovering flooded mines. It didn't help that Francis was initiated as a member of the Knights Templar, another group strongly connected to the treasure legend. The excesses in the courts of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette so angered the people in France that it led to the 1789 French Revolution. It was rumored that when Marie Antoinette was fleeing Paris, she instructed her loyal maid to pack up the crown jewels along with many of her valuables and board a ship en route to North America. She was said to have hidden them on an island in Nova Scotia with the help of some of her trusted guards of the Royal Army. The jewels were never found, so people assume over the years that it's buried in Oak Island. A buried treasure legend wouldn't be complete without a famous pirate involved in it. The theory that Captain Kidd's legendary treasure from the 17th century was the buried treasure in Oak Island started when he claimed to have hidden it somewhere that only he and Satan could ever find it. It was said that all of his loot was buried in the money pit, and that the cunning pirate placed many safeguards, such as booby traps, to confuse people and prevent recovery of it. This theory became more convincing when a dying sailor who was part of the pirate's crew confessed on his deathbed that around £2 million was buried on the island. One of the most popular theories on the Oak Island treasure legend was that the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and the wealth that the Knights Templar amassed over the years was all buried on the island. The members were spared from paying taxes by the sitting pope back in 1139, so that the Templars could focus on conducting holy missions back then. That special privilege made them wealthier, so when they disbanded, many people looked for their amassed wealth. But no amount of torture of the arrested members yielded any positive result. Those holy relics were still waiting to be found, although given the time frame, this theory is the most unlikely. That is, many years before expeditions discovered North America, or the voyages of Leif Erikson were accepted as factual. Oak Island has been the subject of many treasure hunting expeditions in the past because of an incident that happened back in 1795. A Nova Scotia teen named Daniel McGuinness was intrigued by some strange lights he saw on the island from his house on the mainland. He then requested two of his friends to help him investigate it, and what they found was a 13-foot depression in the ground that was surrounded by loose soil, which was an indication that it had been recently disturbed. Naturally, the boys were curious about it and began to dig, finding a circle of stones about 2 feet down, less than a meter. It was getting curiouser and curiouser when at 10 feet or 3 meters, they found a platform of wooden timbers fitted on the sides of what seemed to be a pit. They continued digging for another 10 feet and found another platform. However, they stopped digging as they didn't have the tools to go beyond 20 feet, as it was becoming dangerous. It has since been called the Money Pit. The discovery of the Money Pit became public, and those who heard about it speculated about buried treasure. Onslow Company was the second group documented to resume digging in the pit in 1802. They discovered charcoal and coconut fibers, which only prompted them to dig some more, as coconuts couldn't be found within 900 miles of Nova Scotia, well over 1,000 kilometers. At 90 feet down, they found a rectangular embedded stone slab, but they couldn't understand the markings. At that time, everyone dismissed it as something that was inscribed mistakenly. They continued to dig, and when they reached 98 feet, it felt that it was some sort of treasure vault, since it sounded like a hollow container. They stopped digging for the night, and when they came back the next day, the pit was filled by 60 feet or almost 20 meters of water. The Onslow Company crew believed that they triggered a booby trap. Nothing came out of it, and so they stopped digging permanently. Since stories about failed treasure expeditions were retold from one generation to another, the legend of Oak Island treasure persisted through the years. In 1849, another group of treasure hunters referred to as the Truro Group went to the money pit and started digging. They successfully managed to get the water out of the hole, securing the walls before they drilled into what they all believed was the vault. It was reported that they discovered 3 small golden chain links after drilling into layers and layers of loose metal and wood. However, the bottom of the pit collapsed and it was filled with water once again. They all assumed that the buried treasure was even further down. Encouraged by the gold chain links, they went on to dig some more and discovered a flood tunnel that connected the pit to a man-made cove about 500 feet away from it. From further inspection, they found 5 rock-lined floodgates from the Smith's Cove, which were combined at the other end into a single drain that led to the pit. They tried to intercept the water by creating shafts, but weren't successful, so they finally gave up the search. Unlike the past treasure hunt expeditions, the activities of the newest group of treasure hunters were chronicled via the reality TV show, The Curse of Oak Island. It all started when Rick Lagina showed his brother Marty an article about the Oak Island treasure from an old edition of a Reader's Digest magazine. They became interested in the tale of booby traps and buried treasure at the age of 11, and when their father showed them more articles about it from a Wall Street Journal in their teenage years, their interest became an obsession. The mystery of the buried treasure was a constant table conversation during family holidays. The boys' interest never waned, and when an opportunity for them to buy a part of Oak Island came, even though already in their 40s, they immediately grabbed it. They had to go through various adversities before they were able to purchase half of the island, then work with Dan Blankenship, who owned the other half of the island, and who was already hunting for the treasure years before they even met. They joined forces and invited other believers along with experts to start their journey. Discovery Channel heard about it, and the first episode was aired on the 5th of January 2014. Since then, they've relentlessly hunted for the buried treasure. The 9th season of the reality TV show The Curse of Oak Island premiered in November 2021. Of course, the treasure hunters are yet to find the buried treasure. Not finding anything didn't mean there's absolutely nothing on the island. In fact, they found many interesting objects that inspired them to continue exploring and digging. Here are some of them, and their significance to the Oak Island treasure. As mentioned, a stone slab with embedded markings was found during the Onslow Company expedition, but most of the people at that time believed it wasn't something to be excited about. However, some believe it was a secret code, but weren't able to decipher it. In 1860, it was decoded by a language professor from the faculty of Nova Scotia's Dalhousie University. His translation was, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds buried. In the 1970s, another translation surfaced, deciphering as something about a Coptic Christian warning people not to forget their duty to the Lord. There were those who refuted the existence of any markings on the stone, and others who doubted the authenticity of the translations. It was reported that those who led the expedition in 1897 found a very small piece of parchment with the letters VI. The object was sent to Harvard University in recent years, so it could be authenticated by experts in the field. It was proven authentic, but no one could accurately say that it was part of the buried treasure, or just one of the remnants of the past inhabitants of the island, though some even speculated that it might come from the original Shakespeare manuscripts. In 2017, the Lagina crew found a garnet brooch with a 500-year-old red gemstone, which was featured in the 5th episode of The Curse of Oak Island Treasure. It was Gary Drayton, a metal detecting expert, who discovered it somewhere north of the island, using a handheld device, but it was Rick Lagina who dug it out from the ground. The rear part was the first to be seen, followed by the front of the brooch with the red stone a few minutes later. Initially, they all thought it was a ruby, but after some inspection, it turned out to be a 12-faceted, 500-year-old rhodolite garnet. Speculations arose that it was part of Marie Antoinette's jewels. Gary exclaimed to one of the Lagina brothers, "We might have just made history here, Rick." In Season 6 of the TV show, the treasure hunters found a lead medieval cross in the Smith's Cove area, similar to those used by the Knights Templar. It was probably one of the biggest finds, as it could suggest that members of the Knights Templar were able to successfully reach North America many centuries ago. They had it tested at the University of New Brunswick through laser abrasion and discovered that it wasn't from North America. The team brought the lead cross to the German Mining Museum and had it tested by geochemist Tobias Skronek. It didn't match any deposits that were used from the 15th to 17th centuries, but when it was tested with those from the medieval era, it was found as a match. The result corroborated the belief that some members of the Knights Templar went to Scotland and Oak Island, carrying with them the amassed treasure of the group. In one of the boreholes at 160 feet, 50 meters, around what was believed to be the money pit area, the Lagina crew found 2 bone fragments that they believed were human. They had them examined through a series of tests so that they could be properly identified. Dr. Timothy Fraser from the Department of Biology at St. Mary's University in Halifax concluded that the bones were from European and Middle Eastern lineages. It was more evidence of the popular supposition that the Knights Templar went to Oak Island to hide their treasure from their enemies. In the 4th season of The Curse of Oak Island Treasure, the whole crew became excited as one of the treasure hunters announced that he's found what seemed to be a gold coin. The mere mention of the words gold coin was enough for the team who heard it to pause for a few moments. It had markings on the side of the golden disc, but no one could read them. When it was tested later, it was indeed made of gold, but the dimple at the center of the back from the disc indicated that it was more of a gold-plated button than a coin, believed to be from the uniforms used by the British Army in the 18th century. Most of the people in the crew, as well as the viewers, lost interest. But it wasn't worthless, because it opened up a lot of questions as to what the British Army was doing in Oak Island. With the modern technology that the 21st century could offer, most people assumed that the Oak Island treasure should be easy to discover. However, after 9 seasons of the TV show The Curse of Oak Island Treasure, there is no substantial proof to come out that could accurately prove 100% that any treasure exists. Many believe it's due to the curse associated with the treasure. Somewhere along the way, after the legend of the treasure was born 200 years ago, a curse about it was whispered over the years. They said that it would take 7 deaths before the treasure would be revealed, probably due to the frustrations of the first failed treasure expeditions. There have been 6 deaths associated with the treasure hunt, so of course, some people now believe that when the 7th death occurs, then the buried treasure will be found. Don't hold your breath.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.